Hello, this is Farzana Shamim. Welcome back to the English class. Today we are going to do the next part of the story, The Tiger in the Tunnel, written by Ruskin Bond. I'm sure you'll enjoy this session also. Before we go in to read the next part of the story, let's recapitulate what we had done in the previous session. Recapitulation activity. The first question: what were the sounds that broke the silence of the night? Second, unjumble the given word and give its meaning. Lastbal, unjumble it. Tembu was dash years old, 10, 11, 12, 13. Next, which of the following words would best describe Baldeo? Miser, dedicated, caring, callous, fearless, shirker. Let's see the answers. What were the sounds that broke the silence of the night? Shrill cry of the cicada, pecking by the woodpecker, loud grunt of the wild boar. So the unjumbled word is ballast. 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 Crushed rock, stones, etc. used to make the bed of a railway track or road. Tembu was 12 years old. And the words to best describe Baldeo are dedicated, caring, and fearless. Before reading the story, let's learn some new words that have been taken from your text so that the story becomes understandable and interesting for you. The first word is cease, cease, which means to stop. The commander ordered his men to cease fire, to stop firing. Puny, puny, which means small and weak. An ant is a puny creature. Agile, agile, able to move quickly and easily. The young boy is as agile as a monkey. You know the monkeys are very agile. Yawn, yawn, to open your mouth wide and breathe in deeply through it. Cowcatcher, cowcatcher. A metal frame at the front of a locomotive for pushing aside cattle or other obstacles on the line. Conjecture, conjecture, an opinion or idea that is not based on definite knowledge and is formed by guessing. Agony, agony, extreme physical or mental pain. Sheila screamed in agony when she heard about her friend's death. Wonder, wonder, to think about something and try to decide what is true, what will happen, what you should do, etc. I wondered if I could ever learn to drive a car. Grief, grief, a very sad feeling. Rajat was overcome with grief when his pet dog died. Let us do an activity to find out whether you have understood the words or not. Match the words in column A with their meanings in column B. Let's do them one by one. Okay, try to find the meaning. Grief, cease, agile, conjecture, yawn. Let's see the answers. Grief means a very sad feeling. Cease, to stop. Agile, able to move quickly and easily. Conjecture means to guess, a guesswork. Yawn, to open your mouth wide and breathe in deeply through it. Please go through these questions After reading a part of the story, you'll have to answer these questions. What was Baldeo more worried about? His own safety or his son? Second question, could Baldeo defeat the tiger? So as we read the story, try to find the answers. Okay? Now let's read the story. A low grunt resounded from the top of the cutting. In a second, Baldeo was awake, all his senses alert. Only a tiger could emit such a sound. A low grunt from the top of the cutting awakened Baldeo. Being a tribal, he could make out that it was the sound of a tiger. So he became very alert. There was no shelter for Baldeo, but he grasped his axe firmly and tensed his body, trying to make out the direction from which the animal was approaching. So you see, Baldeo was sitting at the entrance of the tunnel waiting for the train. There were tall walls on both sides, and the tiger was just above the cutting. So there was no way for Baldeo to escape. He was in a very tricky situation. So he held his axe firmly and got ready to fight the tiger. For some time, there was only silence. Even the usual jungle noises seemed to have ceased altogether. This again shows the presence of tiger. All the animals become very quiet when a tiger is around. Then a thump and the rattle of small stones. Thump is a loud noise, and the rattle of small stones announced that the tiger had sprung into the cutting. The tiger had jumped into the cutting. Baldeo, listening as he had never listened before, wondered if it was making for the tunnel or the opposite direction, the direction of the hut, in which Tembu would be lying unprotected. So Baldeo listened very carefully to find out whether the tiger was going towards the tunnel or towards the hut where his son was lying unprotected. He did not have to wonder for long. He did not have to think much. Before a minute had passed, he made out the huge body of the tiger trotting steadily towards him. Its eyes shone a brilliant green in the light from the signal lamp. He could see the tiger coming towards him. Flight was useless. Baldeo knew that it would be fruitless for him to try to run. For in the dark, the tiger would be more sure-footed than Baldeo and would soon be upon him from behind. You know, tigers have better night vision. Baldeo knew this, so he thought it better to face the tiger than run away. He knew that the tiger could attack him from behind. Baldeo stood with his back to the signal post, motionless, staring at the great brute moving rapidly towards him. He was standing still, watching the tiger moving towards him at a great speed. The tiger, used to the ways of men, for it had been preying on them for years, came on fearlessly, and with a quick run and a snarl, struck out with its right paw, expecting to bowl over this puny man who dared stand in the way. So the tiger attacked Baldeo, as if for the reason that Baldeo, though a small and weak man, dared to challenge him. It was hurting his ego. It seemed as if the tiger felt hurt that the man dared to block his way. Baldeo, however, was ready. With a marvelously agile leap, he avoided the paw and brought his axe down on the animal's shoulder. Baldeo was ready to face the tiger. He quickly jumped aside, avoiding the strike of the tiger, and attacked the animal on its shoulder with his axe. The tiger gave a roar and attempted to close in. The tiger attempted to attack him once again. Again, Baldeo drove his axe, which caught the tiger on the shoulder, almost severing the leg, almost cutting the leg. To make matters worse, the axe remained stuck in the bone, and Baldeo was left without a weapon. The tiger, roaring with pain, now sprang upon Baldeo, bringing him down and then tearing at his broken body. Since Baldeo had no weapon to defend himself, the tiger fell down upon him and damaged his body very severely. Baldeo was killed. It was extremely painful. Baldeo was conscious only of a shearing pain down his back, and then there was blackness, and the night closed in on him forever. He went into his eternal sleep, that is, death. Baldeo was no more, he was killed. The tiger drew off and sat down, licking his wounded leg, roaring every now and then with agony. Even the tiger was wounded. It was in agony, it was in deep pain. So it sat down and started licking his wounded leg. Let me see how many of you could find the answers. Check your answers and give yourself a pat on the back award and a golden star for each correct answer. So check your answers. What was Baldeo more worried about, his own safety or his son? Baldeo was more worried about his son's safety. Could Baldeo defeat the tiger? Baldeo fought bravely, but his axe got stuck in the tiger's body. He became weaponless and got killed by the tiger. So here is another activity for you, a very interesting activity. Given below is a list of jumbled words that you have to unjumble. These words have been taken from the part of the story that we are going to read. Try to find these words while reading the story. Give yourself 2 smileys for every correct word. Let me see how many smileys you collect. He did not notice the faint rumble that shook the earth, followed by the distant puffing of an engine steadily climbing. The overland mail was approaching. So the tiger did not notice that the overland mail was approaching the tunnel. Through the trees beyond the cutting, as the train advanced, the glow of the furnace could be seen, and showers of sparks fell like Diwali lights over the forest. See what a beautiful description. As the train entered the cutting, the engine whistled once loud and piercingly. The tiger raised his head, then slowly got to his feet. He found himself trapped like the man. He found himself trapped like Baldeo. You know why? The tiger was sitting at the entrance of the tunnel. The train was coming from the cutting towards the tunnel. So it was impossible for the tiger to run along the cutting. It had no choice but to run into the tunnel. He entered the tunnel running as fast as his wounded leg would carry him. And then, with a roar and a shower of sparks, the train entered the yawning tunnel. See what a beautiful description here. Look at the opening of the tunnel. It seems as if the tunnel has opened its mouth wide in order to yawn. What a beautiful description. The noise in the confined space within the tunnel was deafening, very loud. But when the train came out into the open on the other side, silence returned once more to the forest and the tunnel. So once the train had left, everything became silent once again. At the next station, the driver slowed down and stopped his train to water the engine. He got down to stretch his legs and decided to examine the headlamps. The driver has been sitting cramped up in a confined space, so he needed to stretch his legs. Therefore, he got down to stretch his legs and then decided to examine the headlamps. He received the surprise of his life. What is it? For just above the cowcatcher lay the major portion of the tiger cut in half by the engine. You see, the speed of the train being much more than the speed of the tiger, it had outraced the tiger, and the tiger was cut in half by the engine. There was considerable excitement and conjecture at the station. But back at the cutting, there was no sound except for the sobs, except for the loud cries of the boy, Tembu, as he sat beside the body of his father, dead father. He was crying, he was screaming because his father is dead. In contrast to the station where the people have crowded discussing about the tiger. He sat there for a long time, unafraid of the darkness, guarding the body from jackals and hyenas, until the first faint light of dawn brought with it arrival of the relief watchman. Tembu had been sitting the whole night with his father's body, because he did not want the jackals and hyenas to carry away his father's body. Such was his love for his father. Tembu and his sister and mother were plunged in grief for 2 whole days. They were very sorrowful for 2 whole days. But life had to go on. Baldeo was dead, but his family was still alive. So life had to go on, and a living had to be made. And all the responsibility now fell on Tembu. He's the only male member in the family now. 3 nights later, he was at the cutting, lighting the signal lamp for the overland mail. He took over the job of his father. He sat down in the darkness to wait for the train and sang softly to himself. There was nothing to be afraid of. You know why? There are 2 reasons. One is his father had killed the tiger. So he believed that the forest gods, being pleased with his father, would help him. Because his father had killed the tiger that was causing havoc in the forest and destroying nature. And the second reason, and besides, he had the axe with him, the deadly axe with him, his father's axe, and he now knew to use it. Dear students, this is the end of the story. I hope you all enjoyed it. Now, let me see how many of you could answer, how many of you could find the correct words. Check your answers and give yourself 2 smileys for every correct word. Steadily, shower, engine, surprise, hyenas, plunged. I have another activity for you. Let me see how much you have understood. He found himself trapped like the man Who is this man? Mention 2 reasons that made Tembu feel safe. Choose the correct option. He sat there for a long time, unafraid of the darkness, guarding the body from jackals and hyenas. Who is he referred to in the above lines? Baldeo, station master, Tembu. He did not notice the dim rumble that shook the earth. Choose the correct word to replace the bold underlined word. Loud, squeaky, faint, thunderous. Let's have a look at the answers. He found himself tracked like the man. Who is this man? This man is Baldeo. Mention the 2 reasons that made Tembu feel safe. The first reason is the tunnel tiger was killed. Second, he had his father's deadly axe. Choose the correct option. Who is he? He is Tembu. He did not notice the dim rumble that shook the earth. So the word that can replace dim is faint. Now, let's discuss the message conveyed through the story, the tiger in the tunnel. The first one, continuity of life. Baldeo was killed, but the family is still living. So, if come what may, life has to go on. This is the first message. Resilience sustains life. The power to overcome all the difficulties and all the sorrows is the essence of sustaining life. And there is a message of dedication, heroism, and familial love given in this story. The dedication shown by Baldeo towards his family and his duty, the dedication shown by Tembu towards his father. See, the whole night he was sitting guarding his father's body. And we have read about the heroic deeds of Baldeo and Tembu as well. And we also get the message of familial love. The family is the most important part of one's life. Whatever problem you have, your family is always there to support you. So you get 5 messages: continuity of life, resilience sustains life, dedication, heroism, and familial love. Now it's the time for home assignment. Draw a mind map portraying the character sketch of Tembu. Use each of the following words as noun and verb: back, light, water. That's all from your presenter, Farzana Shamim. I hope you enjoyed this session. I have a suggestion for you. Please develop the habit of reading. This will definitely improve your communication skill. Thank you very much. Have a great day. This is an initiative by SCERT, the Department of School Education, Punjab.